What's going on, folks? Glad to have you. This is the last week of AI practitioner studying with us for the AI practitioner. Had a great time so far. And this conversation doesn't have to end, right? There's more to go into. Want to say kudos to Coach Charisma. Coach Charisma just landed data engineering associate
I forgot about that
certification.
that fast almost.
So that's going to be excellent seeing that the next time you see us talking, it's going to be all about the data, folks. So I think that's awesome, right? You're dealing with people who are actually going through the work. So that's a good deal.
Right.
What are we going to talk about today, though? Let's pull it up. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to jump right into the last domain, right? This is the last domain that you will consider when you're considering the AI practitioner. And we're jumping right into domain 5. We're not even going to waste any time here, folks. What is domain 5 about? It's about, a lot of the conversation that we had last week, but the nice thing about these two last weeks is we get to cover ground around domain 4 and 5, right? And so we got to talk about security. We got to talk about governance. We list so many frameworks last week, right? We can even bring that list over into the conversation that we're about to have today. But domain 5 is all about security, compliance, and governance for AI solutions. And as you consider task statement 5.1, we need to explain the methods to secure AI systems. There's a couple of other task statements there. I'll let you do the job of reading and preparing well for the exam. But we need to bring in a conversation around agents. I think before we get there, we're going to look at something you've seen before, something you've seen in the initial weeks of this thing. We're heading into the last week, so let's bring it back. It is called Party Rock, folks. Oh, don't you just love Party Rock, Coach? I love Party Rock.
Right. Yeah.
I love
I
Party
love
Rock.
it. I do. It's so simple to have the power at your fingertips.
Yes.
It's almost scary in some ways. So when I think about what my 11-year-old is going to be doing, some of the things that he's already trying to do, he calls himself our family hacker. But yeah.
That's awesome. Where is technology going to go? We've been so many places already.
Yeah.
Party Rock, I tell people all the time, if you want to interact with foundation models and you haven't jumped into Bedrock and you haven't started just yet, go straight to Party Rock and build out a companion. Everybody that I come in contact with, let's choose a different one, Coach. So dual cert companion, that's the one we need. Just let the image generate and we'll pick up from here.
So one of the really nice things that I love about Party Rock is that anyone can create their own Gen AI app and modify the widgets. Little boxes that we see on the screen here are called widgets, and we can modify them. You can modify them to specify or select which particular model you want to use. You can log in with any social media account. You can remix and create your own off of someone else's that you see that you want to use as a starting point. So where I'm going with this is that it puts it back into everyone's hands, right? It's literally at your fingertips without you having to spend any money whatsoever to just get familiar with what's going on. What does this mean? What can I create for myself? I like to always think about this as what's the virtual assistant that I need? Whatever that means to you, right? And then from there, it usually branches out into other ideas. What I specifically, hands down, and especially being someone who has always been more black and white, right, coming from my DoD days, is where AI has opened this new door of creativity that I really haven't thought about before. And I'll even go back to what my 11-year-old told me just a couple of nights ago. He's like, yeah, you can help me with the more structure side of my brain, and I'll help you with the creative side of your brain, and we'll be magic together. And it's one of those things that it really does allow those who are more analytical driven, in my opinion, to think about the creativity, right? The aspect of what you can socialize, what you can visualize, how you can tell the story to get certain things moving forward. So that's just my 2 cents though.
Yeah, I know. I love that you say that. This is even a representation of that. We can even take the analogy of your son and you, one being logical and one being creative, and map it here to this Party Rock app. When you think about it, it's here's some widgets like you talked about earlier. And if we wanted to edit these widgets, we got an opportunity and we can change the model like Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And the nice thing about the conversation that you were just having is logic versus creativity. We can make that happen right here with these parameters. I think the conversation that we're leading into is having some agentic solution. And we're looking at something that could show you that right now. I have an opportunity to have Claude 3.5 Sonnet version 2. Let's hit cancel on this widget and let's go up to this widget. Let's edit this widget and let's hit advance. It shows us the model here. And we're using Amazon Nova canvas, right? So now you're looking at a solution where multiple models are being utilized to generate something for you, right?
Yeah.
And so these widgets can work hand in hand. We can start to organize them to work from one widget to the next. And how do we get that done? Through some agentic solution. And check it out. Some of these widgets are good with logic, like our chat assistant here or the topic explanation. And some of these widgets are good with creativity. Clear your mind. Here's an image, right? Let's be a little bit more creative with what we're creating. So excellent analogy. I think that brings us to the topic, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk about Bedrock, but remember how you were just showing the different models, right? And the beauty of how we've talked about Amazon Bedrock in the past and where these models allow you to, and everyone, literally everyone from an individual, entrepreneur, small business, medium business, enterprise business, we can all have specific guardrails that we've mentioned when it comes to securing our data and using these models and our customer data as well. And so we'll get into that more, but yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so you might have the question. Let's go to the top of this thing so you can see the question. But what are AI agents? And that's cool. I think me and Coach were talking about that, and we were having a conversation about what AI agents are. And there was a nice spot in this particular article that Coach was like, you know what, this is a way to really make it clear for folks. And there were different types of AI agents, right? And so let me just scroll all the way down, and you can look at this blog yourself and read through it, understand how AI agents works, which I'll give you a little bit of insight as we go through it. Challenges around AI agents, but here are a few different types of AI agents, Coach. And I know we've been talking about solutions in the home, like Alexa and different products like that. And when you consider the output that something like Alexa gives you, there must be certain types of agents embedded within a solution as such. And so simple reflex agents, model-based reflex agents, goal-based agents. What comes to mind when you see something like learning agents here, Coach, or anything considering?
Yeah. So with learning agents, it comes back to Party Rock as a one-to-one relationship there. And this is where I say sometimes we've got to just start with what makes sense to us or what are we doing today in order to start to use the technology. I heard someone say sometime last year, it was on a social media outlet, and they said, if you're not using AI every day, you're falling behind, right? And when he said that, I thought to myself, okay, yeah, I can see that because, as I always say, if you can search something online, you can prompt with an interface, right? So whether it's Bedrock, whether it's Amazon Q, whether it's any other AI-driven assistant, there's quite a few of them out there. Alexa is who I'll even, from a verbal perspective, think about for a quick minute, because we were talking about Alexa Plus, right? A couple of days ago where I said, I can't wait to upgrade. But again, I'm going back to Party Rock in the sense that from a learning agent perspective, it's going to help me continuously learn. It's going to help me to understand the previous experiences, and I can create my own persona so that I don't have to recreate the same prompt or search, right? So now I've got this continuous kind of thought process, right? That's going to continue to grow in that persona that I create. And some services call it different things, but I'm going to use the word persona for this example here because it allows me to create this assistant, and then I can go back to that assistant every day, right? Every week, or I wouldn't say every month, but preferably a little bit sooner than that.
Yeah.
And continue to build upon what I've been talking about, right? So they're going to recall what I last spoke about. They're going to recall what the avenue went. But I think the most important thing for me, it's going to look for current information as well. And that's the game changer, right? Because before, much of the models were in this kind of this state of time. So maybe they were built 6 months ago or a year ago. And so your information is already outdated. So I want current information. I want current news. I want current feedback. I want, as these different models are growing and learning, how fast we know, right? How fast new models are being spun up here literally every day. And the beauty of that is where you can, as you grow, create your own model. And again, that's the beauty of Bedrock, of where we can do some things, and I can keep going all day long. That's where I'm going when we think about learning agents.
Absolutely.